The summer of 2008 began like any other in Orlando, Florida. The sun beat down, children splashed in pools, and families enjoyed their summer break. But for the Anthony family, a storm was brewing, one that would shatter their lives and captivate a nation. On July 15, 2008, 2-year-old Caylee Anthony vanished. Her disappearance, initially unnoticed by the world, would soon become a daily fixture on news channels and a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. Caylee, a bright and bubbly little girl, was last seen by her grandparents, George and Cindy Anthony, with whom she lived alongside her mother, Casey. Days turned into weeks, and the Anthony family home became a scene of frantic searching and mounting fear. 31 agonizing days passed before Caylee was reported missing, not by her mother, but by her distraught grandmother. Cindy's frantic call to the police on July 15, 2008, marked the beginning of a nightmare that would drag on for years. The search for Caylee consumed the nation. Volunteers fanned out across Orlando, determined to bring the little girl home. The media descended upon the Anthony family's quiet suburban street, their cameras capturing every tear, every glimmer of hope, and every crushing disappointment. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the hope of finding Caylee alive began to dwindle. The case took a grim turn in December 2008 when skeletal remains, later confirmed to be Caylee's, were discovered in a wooded area less than a mile from the Anthony home. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community and transformed the missing person case into a murder investigation. From the outset, Casey Anthony's behavior raised red flags. Instead of displaying the raw grief and desperation of a mother whose child was missing, Casey seemed detached, even carefree. She partied, went shopping, and even got a tattoo, all while her daughter was ostensibly missing. Her demeanor, jarringly at odds with the gravity of the situation, aroused suspicion among investigators and the public alike. As the investigation progressed, detectives uncovered a web of lies spun by Casey. She claimed that Caylee had been kidnapped by a fictitious nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, a fabrication later exposed by investigators. She spun tales of working at Universal Studios, a claim that crumbled under scrutiny. Each lie chipped away at Casey's credibility, painting a picture of a young woman more concerned with self-preservation than with finding her daughter. The prosecution alleged that Casey suffocated Caylee with duct tape, motivated by a desire to break free from the responsibilities of motherhood and pursue a carefree lifestyle. They pointed to traces of chloroform found in the trunk of Casey's car and air samples from the same car that suggested the presence of human decomposition. The defense, however, maintained that Caylee had accidentally drowned in the family pool, and that Casey, panicked and afraid of her overbearing father George, had concocted the kidnapping story to cover up the accident. In May 2011, nearly 3 years after Caylee's disappearance, Casey Anthony stood trial for her murder. The trial, broadcast live across the country, became a national obsession. Millions tuned in daily, captivated by the unfolding drama and eager to see justice served. The prosecution presented a meticulous case, laying out a timeline of Casey's movements and presenting forensic evidence they believed linked her to Caylee's death. The defense, however, aggressively poked holes in the prosecution's theory, highlighting inconsistencies in the evidence and emphasizing the lack of a clear motive. The courtroom became a stage for a battle of legal heavyweights. Lead prosecutor Jeff Ashton argued passionately that Casey had murdered her daughter to escape the constraints of parenthood. Defense attorney Jose Baez countered with a controversial defense, portraying Casey as a victim of sexual abuse at the hands of her father, George Anthony, and suggesting that he had played a role in Caylee's death and its subsequent cover-up. The courtroom drama, fueled by shocking accusations, emotional testimony, and relentless media scrutiny, kept the nation on tenterhooks. After 6 weeks of grueling testimony and intense media coverage, the jury reached a verdict. On July 5, 2011, Casey Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter of a child. The acquittal, delivered after 10 hours of deliberation, sent shockwaves across the nation. Protests erupted outside the courthouse, with many expressing outrage and disbelief at the verdict. The case, which had gripped the nation for 3 long years, ended not with a resounding declaration of justice, but with a whimper of uncertainty and a lingering sense of unease. In the years following her acquittal, Casey Anthony has lived a life far from the public eye. She has tried to rebuild and move on, but the shadow of her past looms large. Casey has stated that she is focused on moving forward, though the world may never forget the trial that captivated millions. Her story remains a complex and controversial chapter in the annals of American crime history. As the investigation progressed, accusations began to surface, casting a shadow over the family. George Anthony, Caylee's grandfather, found himself at the center of these allegations. Despite the mounting pressure, he steadfastly denied any involvement in his granddaughter's disappearance. His denials, however, did little to quell the growing suspicions and doubts within the community. Casey Anthony's life was forever changed by the accusations and the subsequent trial. Living under a cloud of doubt, she faced public scrutiny and judgment at every turn. The media frenzy only added to the intense pressure she experienced daily. Despite being acquitted, the whispers and suspicions never fully went away, leaving her to navigate a life marked by perpetual uncertainty. The impact of Caylee's death reverberated through the Anthony family, leaving relationships strained and hearts broken. The once close family found themselves grappling with mistrust and unresolved grief. Each member dealt with the pain in their own way, but the bonds that once held them together seemed irreparably damaged. The lingering pain was a constant reminder of the tragedy they had endured. To this day, the true circumstances surrounding Caylee Anthony's death remain a mystery. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, definitive answers have eluded everyone involved. The case continues to captivate and perplex the public, serving as a haunting reminder of a young life lost and the unanswered questions that linger. The enduring mystery of Caylee's death leaves a lasting impact, one that will not soon be forgotten.